Hello students, today we will start with a new chapter, skeletal system and nervous system. So what are organ system? They are a group of organs that work together to perform a particular function. For the body is called an organ system. Now, how many organ systems are there? There are many. To name some, they are circulatory system, respiratory system, digestive system, etc. But here we are going to discuss in detail about the skeletal system and the nervous system. Now, this is a human skeleton. The framework of bones that give shape and support and strength to the body is called a skeletal system. An adult human skeleton has about 206 bones of different shapes and sizes. And the main part of the skeleton system are the skull, the vertebral column or the backbone, and the rib cage. Skull. The skull of a human being has total 22 bones. It contains holes for eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. The upper portion of the skull is made up of 8 flat bones or the 8 cranial bones. And the main function of these 8 cranial bones are to protect our brain. There are 14 bones in the face and jaw. All bones in the skull are fixed except the bone in the lower jaw that can move. So by moving, it helps us to eat and speak. Next is backbone. If you see the diagram, you can see the skull is attached to the backbone that forms the main axis of the skeleton. Our backbone is made up of 33 small bones called vertebra. The vertebra join together to form a strong column called the vertebral column. So this long series of bones you see is a vertebral column. It is flexible and protect the delicate spinal cord. Flexible means it can move. It shows slight movements. The joint of the vertebra allows slight movement. Due to this, we can move our backbone forward and backward. Each vertebra has a hole through which the delicate spinal cord passes. Next is rib cage. Ribs are thin, flat, but curved bones. They make a cage-like structure around our chest. This cage of bone is called the rib cage, and it protects our heart and lungs. There are altogether 12 pairs of ribs in the rib cage. A long bone at the center of the chest called the sternum, you can see it in the diagram, holds the rib at the front. All the ribs are attached to the sternum at the front. The ribs are also attached to the backbone. The last 2 pairs of the ribs are called floating ribs. You can see it in the diagram. These are floating ribs. And why are they floating ribs? because they are free and joined only to the backbone. They are joined only to the backbone and not to the sternum. That is why they are called floating ribs. Next is limbs. Now, arms and legs both are called limbs. The upper limbs or the arms are attached to the shoulder girdle or pectoral girdle. The upper arm has one long bone called the humerus, while the lower arm has two bones called the radius and ulna. The wrist and fingers have several small bones like you see in the diagram. They are carpal, metacarpals and phalanges. The bones of hind limb are attached to the hip girdle or the pelvic girdle. The upper bone of leg is called the femur or the thigh bone, and it is the largest bone in our body. The lower bones of legs are tibia and fibula. The forelimbs are used for doing different tasks. The forelimbs are our arms are used to do different tasks such as writing, lifting, pulling, etc. And the hind limbs or our legs are used for walking, running, etc. So, what are the overall functions of the skeleton system we understood? They are: the skeleton system gives shape and support to our body, isn't it? It also protects our internal organ, like we already discussed. The skull protects the brain, and the ribcage are protecting our heart and lung. Major muscles are attached to bone and help them to move. The blood cells are formed in the center of many bones in the soft tissue called marrow, or we oftenly say it bone marrow. Calcium and phosphorus are stored in the skeleton for later use. It makes our bone hard and strong. That is why we oftenly hear our parents asking us or urging us to drink milk, isn't it? Why? Because it contains high amount of calcium and phosphorus, which makes our bone strong and hard. Now, we will continue the chapter in the next class. Thank you.